Or Beamish.
I'll try.
Beamish.
Stand up and have a Bloody Mary already.
He's so Irish. Funny story. I live in England. I ordered 2 pints of beer. I ordered 2 pints of beer like this.
Oh, no, that's
No.
As soon as you open your finger on the wrist
You
like
have to
that.
have the face of the hand facing out.
That's right.
What does this mean?
That's like F-off.
Oh, okay.
I think it goes back to, I think it was, I don't know if it was Churchill was the Defiant Victory.
Just
style.
so
you guys-
Just so you guys know,
That's what it was.
Yeah,
hey guys,
That's actually not.
guys, just so you know, we're live and recording. So
It's actually not true.
The orchard story?
Like consulted.
But it's ordinance
Good
goes,
story.
the ordinance goes, so where the ordinance come from? I know that
Years, tomato
I think
juice.
That's
they
the origin.
cut off the fingers with their arches.
Colorado, consulted Colorado. You have an affinity for
And one
Colorado.
time, I was with my boss,
live
like,
there.
well, he had a stain on his pants. He goes, these are my pants. He goes, of course they are. Where, I said, those are trousers, pants are your underwear.
All right, we're live, we're going, we're good? All right. Welcome back. What number did you go to? Oh, you're 29? Okay. So there was a slide, actually people that are in the room are gonna be able to see this slide still, of our utility scale. I'm gonna show you a picture of a 100 megawatt project that we built down in Chile. Just be able to hand my computer around, you can see it. So this 100 megawatt project down in Chile, you're going to see it, and you're looking at it and go, that's huge. The thing is, it's not the largest project that we've built. So the largest single project that we've built, so you can just in my computer around. It'll pop up eventually. It's just that huge file that's actually causing issues here once it pops up. So in the lower right-hand corner, you're going to see a 100 megawatt project down in Chile. It's it had to be taken from the picture had to be taken from the sky. That is not our largest project. Our largest single project is also in Chile. It's 408 megawatts. So it's 4 times the size of what you're seeing in that picture. We're in the process of building a sister plant right next to it that's 430 megawatts. One project.
What's the acreage work out to be?
A lot. A lot. Outside of that, I don't know. Yeah. So it's just massive. And a lot of people wonder, why is there so much, why do we build so much solar down in Chile? It has not rained in that desert for over 100 years. So wow. Days of sunlight are huge. The next question is, well, how do they clean the panels? There's automation that will clean all those panels. But to give you an idea, putting a panel in Chile versus putting a panel here, we can go put a 270 watt module in Chile. It'll produce almost twice as much power as it does here. The concentration of the sun and the number of days of sunlight, it's incredible on how much it produces in Chile. Sorry for everybody who's online. No pictures for you.
No soup for you.
No soup for you. Okay, this goes back to our business model and the fact that we want to go dealer direct and be able to build a brand. These are some of the other brands you're probably familiar with that have done the exact same thing. So we're not the first one venturing into this type of a business model, and there are brands that you know very well. Okay. I'll skip that slide. It's the same thing. All right, so when we look at SunEdison, we realize that there are certain things that we do well. We're a manufacturer. We know how to have systems, processes, manufacturing, support, training. Again, if we go back to the balanced business approach, we create products, programs, and training to support all 3 aspects of the business. This is what we do well. Things that we don't do well are being the person or the company that is door to door, being the company that is going into the home on a regular basis and presenting to homeowners, being the company that installs on a residential level. On a commercial level or utility scale, we'll go install ourselves. That's where our history is. We know how to do that. We're vertically integrated. On the residential side, it's okay to allow other companies to make money. Again, we don't have to be pigs about it. We want you to be able to grow your business. We want you to be able to make a good living. We're willing to share in everybody being able to make some money. Okay? Hopefully you guys are okay with that. Thank you. All right, continuing on. So these are just some of the supporting people back in Belmont. We have several different departments that's all they do is support a certain thing. So let's say it's building a proposal. There are people back there that are specialists in building a proposal. So if your people have any questions on building a proposal, they've got somebody to be able to contact and be able to help them through that process. Let's say somebody's trying to do PDA documents. You guys familiar with PDA documents? It's like one-line drawings, SunEdison verification, pulling permits. There's certain documentation there. So let's say there's, in your case, you guys sell it. We contract with an authorized installer that's been trained in our facility in Belmont to go do all those documents. So you have a site visit. Somebody comes out to the home and they measure the roof. They do the SunEdison verification. They do the one-line drawings. They go get the permits. That's a company that is contracted by us to go do that for you. Once all those PDA documents have been uploaded into, we have a system called NetSuite. We have internal people that will go verify all of that information, and then we come back with an approval. Once it goes through the approval, then it goes into getting installed. And that same company that is doing the PDA documents is also doing the install. So there will be times where you're looking at the home, you get a proposal, and it says, you know what, it'll fit 20 modules. Well, once somebody goes out there and does the verification with the site visit, you might determine that we can get 19, or maybe we can get 21. They will do the exact number based on offsets, your jurisdiction, you know, yeah, I mean, your, what am I looking for? Vents, chimneys, all those things that come into play with shading, okay?
The limitations of.
So the
Yes.
NetSuite is like the SolarWorks?
Sounds like. So basically, you have a lot of support in the back end to help us get our jobs to install, to get you paid faster, to keep customers as happy as possible, to drive referrals, so on and so forth.
Right. Okay, so this you'll probably never see, but this is the partner portal, which goes over a dashboard, is where all the documents are uploaded. Somebody internally for you from your company is going to be building a proposal. When they build that proposal, you're going to be given probably a PDF document to go present to the homeowner, but you've got somebody internally on your side of it that is building those proposals. We will go over a proposal so you can kind of see what it looks like. So you're just more familiar with it.
I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to the process of when I talk to the customer and the customer lets me know anything and something would need to be added as a note into NetSuite, do we call someone and they add it into, or do we have access to NetSuite?
What type of a note would you be adding? So the question was, where do you,
the customer, let's say, had the proposal, but they still want to think about why it wasn't at home, so I would have to go back. So then when I call the customer, he says, wait, my wife is not in Europe, let's not have this for 2 months. So now, rather than having a bunch of phone calls, rather I would like to make sure that it's in the notes.
So the question was, what do we do with a homeowner when there's a delay in the process? How do we get notified on when to go back, how to go back? Whatever your current systems are on how you would do that, that's not going to change. If there's a Outlook calendar that somebody notifies you, there's nothing internally that we're going to do any different. So your processes of how you do a contract and everything else are going to remain the same. We want to try to do as few changes of what you're used to doing going forward. If we all of a sudden give you all these new things, it's a whole big learning curve. So we're going to try to have as few changes as possible. So however that's done right now will continue to be done that
So
way.
basically, managers and account coordinators, if you need notes put on, tell them and they'll put them on.
Okay.
So that everybody has clear communications to what's happening with the job.
Okay. So when building a proposal, you're seeing a small little picture. This is just a building or a home. In this orange area is where your internal people have said, okay, if I was going to go put solar on this home, these are the XY measurements of that area. And then we look at the jurisdiction, and you can see this little black line that's on the left-hand side and on the top of the ridge. Those are the setbacks based on your jurisdiction. So you guys are going to know that more so than I am for your jurisdictions. You might have a 3-foot offset, you might have a 0, you might have an 18-inch in the valley. Whatever they are, Your internal people are going to build it, and now that area technically ended up getting smaller. Okay, they'll look at things like chimneys, and when they're building these proposals, this is one of the very first steps is figuring out the area, and then it goes and plots the panels on the home. And there's different ways you can put it, whether it's a portrait, a landscape, a combination of the two, and then there's a button they can click and say, I want to see through the panels. They can see through the panels and see if there's a vent. And anytime you can, however you help your internal people build that proposal, I don't know if you guys take pictures or however, or you're on the phone with them and you go, you know what, just so you know, there's a vent, dead center of the roof. However you do that, you would continue to do that process.
So this comes to the dashboard because you can see, it's a flat roof and that can't be installed on, you tell them. If it's a rolled roof, you tell them the sections that it can't be installed on. If the tree's been removed, you communicate that. So that's in the sale. You want to be communicating as clearly as possible so we can get as accurate a proposal as possible.
Right.
On the fire setbacks and the AHJ requirements, EPAL does not know that stuff. That's always been taken care of by Solar City, and they still make mistakes. So that's something that we're going to want to work on.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's something that research should be done by your side or it should be done by our side. But that's
Probably both.
we definitely.
You're going to know the area more so than we
Right.
are, and you might go pull a permit, or the permit office. As an example, where I live in Omaha, but my jurisdiction is technically in a different county or
Right.
Blair. So I have to abide by the different city's jurisdiction, even though my address is an Omaha address. So you're gonna have to help us through that process because we're not gonna know. You're on the ground, the area. We don't know the area like you guys know the area.
So I guess my other question, are we relying on you and us, or are we gonna be relying on the third-party installer that has been certified and trained, because they're gonna know that stuff?
They're also going to be,
Better, 'cause they
they're
want
also
to
going to be involved.
Okay.
Yeah. But there will be some misses. There's nobody a lot of this information sits in somebody's head.
Yeah.
And they know that, oh yeah, this side of the street goes to this jurisdiction and this side of the street goes to a different jurisdiction. Yes.
When the third party pulls up, just to manage the customer's expectation, do they have a neutral looking vehicle? Or it has their contractor's name on it? Or does it have a SunEdison name on it?
So the question was, what does the vehicle for the site visit and the install have? They will have a SunEdison logo on their vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Are those guys already in place? Already?
I don't, so the question was, are they already in place? And in many markets, they are in place. I don't know who those are. That's probably going to be your next question. I don't know who it is locally.
Okay.
But we hire, it's multiple contractors, but they have to be trained in our facility in California.
Okay.
So as an example, part of the equipment that we deal with is unirack racking.
Mm-hmm.
And most racking is very regionalized. You have one company that really likes this type of racking and another company that likes this type of racking. We have centralized it to where it's all unirack.
Okay.
And we, as a company, because we're publicly traded and we're selling a kit, we have to backstop that company, again, because we're publicly traded manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
So Unirack, are you guys familiar with Unirack and who owns Unirack?
I know the system, but
Okay, Unirack is owned by Hilti. Hilti is a fastening company. They deal with fasteners. That's what they do. It's been around for, over a century. And one of the requirements that our installers have to do when it's coming to the actual racking, and they're trained on this, is when you have that standoff that's going through the roof, it has to go into the rafter. There's a lot of installers that nobody ever knows it until it's 3 or 4, 5 years down the road, and all they did was go through the sheeting. Our installers are required to go directly into the rafters. So when you're explaining this to a homeowner and say, the difference between us and everybody else is it's one of the smallest things we do, but it's really going to mean the most long term. Most people never even see this or know it until it's too late. But our racking is Unirack, and many people don't necessarily know Unirack, but you may be more familiar with Hilti. Some people aren't even familiar with Hilti, just so you know. But one thing that we do as a company is we make sure that we're going directly into the rafters. There's a lot of companies that don't necessarily go into the rafters, they just go into the sheeting. And when we secure it to your home, it's secured through the rafters, not just through the sheeting. Yes.
Silly question, I was on the website, Unirac was always put on flat roofs. So you're saying Unirac can put on any pitch of a roof?
Yes. Unirac has several different products.
Okay,
So we'll find out more specifically once we know who the certified the contractors are, the install teams, and we'll find out if we can install more roofs than we've been able to with Solar City, so on and so forth.
So on the racking, it is a railed system. And we could talk about this later, but we'll just talk about it now. So a railed system versus an unrailed system. Are you guys familiar with the difference and the advantages of both?
Yes and no.
Okay, so an unrailed system typically is being mounted directly to the module. So if and it only, the modules will go with the lay of the land or the lay of the roof. So if the roof has any dips or valleys in it, then the panels are going to have dips and valleys to it. With a railed system, it is spanning, I think the rail is 120 inches. So it's this rail, there's two rails that go, so there's the standoff that comes up, the rail sits on top, and it spans for that 120 inches. So there's one on the bottom, one on the top. The panel then sits on the top of those. We can, the installers can shim up one of the standoffs if the rails are not even. So if it dips into the roof, we can do shims. There's metal shims that go underneath there to levelize the rail. So it's a very clean look, and it's very. Have you ever seen a roof to where one panel's like this, and the other panel's like this, or one's like this and
Solar
this?
City won't install them. If
Okay.
there's a dip in the roof, they'll just DQ that section.
Yes.
And then not install.
Not install on that section, might install the other section, they will not install on that section.
Okay.
I've got a customer I'm gonna go back to.
Are there any restrictions as far as the angles go, like the 45-degree angle or what we don't install?
So the question was, is there a restriction on the overall angle?
Yes.
It depends on, I actually have a document that will tell me what the angle is for this area. I believe it's 45 degrees or less.
Mhm.
What the minimum is, I don't know. And flat roofs in the Northeast are difficult because of your snow load and how the buildings are made.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, we definitely want to know.
So you're probably going to run into the same things of what you can and cannot. But if
there's no penetrations in the roof, then it would just be the snow load, but not leak issues.
but you're dealing with the weight of the module plus the snow load, and some flat roofs can't take the extra weight.
Right.
So our modules weigh 52 pounds. So it's a little heavier module, and we'll get into some of the reasons why.
62 pounds per.
52. 52.
Wow.
3x5 standard.
They're 3'3" by 5'5" by 2 inches high. It's a 2-inch frame.
Demographics wise, is there some kind of an outline as to where we're allowed to go? Like with Solar City, was the warehouse was in Colony, 100 miles in each direction. Do we have any type of?
So the question
Yeah.
was, are there restrictions on where you can and cannot go? With the for the financing model, I'll show you a chart that will show the states and the utilities within each one of those states. So as long as it's within that utility, you're free to go there.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to get into more of the specifics of our modules, the inverter, the racking, and our financing. So we're about to talk even more stuff on the technical aspects of a module. We've already talked about, wattage and positive power tolerance and how to build a cell. And a lot of times salespeople wonder, well, how do I know when to go into extreme detail versus how do I give a brief overview to a homeowner? It's not a matter of how much you can go puke onto a customer. It has to be the right type of puke so they can understand it, okay? They're willing to swallow the puke that you're going to be giving them. I know it sounds kind of disgusting, but sometimes we just puke all of our customers and we wonder what's going to stick. So there is a question you can ask before you go puke on them and know, do I go give them all the details or do I give them a brief overview? That one question is really what you want to know. We don't have to make this difficult, but the one question you really want to know is, how technical would you like me to get? So if you start asking that question, how technical would you like me to get? They're going to go, you know what, I want to know every nut and bolt in this thing. Or just give me a brief overview. And just so you know, there are no nuts and bolts in our modules. Okay. All right, so we'll get into the specifics of the module. The maximum power class that we have right now in the US is a 275. Now that is a 275 black frame monocell white backsheet. It is not on our proposal tool right now. So our proposal tool will put modules on, and then we'll take modules off based on our inventory. And what we're trying to do is there's some algorithm that they've created that says, if we have X number in stock, we have this many proposals, it takes this long to actually install. Do we have enough inventory for building a proposal today to where you can go install it in the time that you need it? So if we don't have enough stock to be able to supply you, let's say that algorithm is saying it's 2 months down the road or a month down the road or whatever it happens to be, we're going to go take that off and you're not going to see it on our proposal tool. What we're trying to do is to prevent, if you ever sold something and all of a sudden you can't get it, it's kind of a pain. The customer gives one more opportunity for them to go cancel. We don't want that to happen. So we will put modules on and take them off at different times. The go-to module right now that you'll see on the proposal, so when this goes live and it's Friday, you're going to be selling a 270 all black, okay? The 275 will not be on there. Don't go sell it and say, I'll get it later, or if you wait longer, I can get it. Don't do that. If it's not on the proposal tool, don't sell it.
And I don't know if very many salespeople are saying we're selling 270 with a on the roof. Once again, it's what percentage can we offset of your consumption?
Right.
And what's the price of the electricity we're going to be selling?
Well, again, it goes back to how many modules are going to fit on the home based on a 270, and that's going to determine your offset. But you could say the same thing as, oh, we could increase your offset by 2% more. If you just wait a couple of months, we can get you a larger wattage panel. Don't do that to yourselves, okay?
So this is all black one?
All black, yes, yes. All right, positive power tolerance, we've already talked about. Oh, just so you guys know, our technology right now, we do make as high as a 295, but we're selling that into different countries. We do not sell them in the US. There's just different, for whatever reason, there's different tariffs or something to where those companies in SunEdison can make more money by selling the 295, like in Japan right now, versus selling it here. Okay. But we do have the technology to be able to build the higher wattage even right now. So we do have the 25-year workmanship. The standard in the industry is 10 years. And then we have 25 years, 25-year linear warranty, which I'll explain the difference between a linear warranty and a step-down warranty. I'll actually show you a picture. All of our glass is anti-reflectant glass. I don't know if you guys have sold this in the past, but it's almost like a matte finish on the glass. Having a matte finish will absorb more energy and produce more kilowatt hours. A lot of people think, oh, the more shiny it is, the more light penetration it actually reflects and it detracts from it. Having anti-reflectant glass, a lot of neighborhood associations prefer a anti-reflectant versus a reflectant, just from the overall look of the home. You guys heard of the issue up in Manchester, New Hampshire, with the airport? With the airport?
They had an issue with birds.
You're saying they have a solar array and it's shining to the pilot's eyes? I'm assuming?
Yes, yeah. So they can't. Right now, they're covering. Evidently, I haven't seen them for myself, but they're saying they're covering certain sections of it because pilots coming in or the flight tower, it's blinding them at different times of the day because they didn't use anti-reflectant glass. Yeah. Yes.
Regarding the tempered glass, is there an analogy we can use, like a hardball, baseball thrown at a certain velocity? Would it
Yes.
take to break it? What would that be?
So there's a standardized hail test, which I'll show you the parameters of that hail test. Okay. So efficiency as of right now is over 18%. That's for the entire module itself. Okay. Now it does differ from, let's say a 270 versus a 275. A 275 is going to have a higher efficiency. Does anybody know why when you put a white back sheet on, you gain 5 extra watts. Because that 275 that was on the previous page, that's a white back sheet. Why does a white back sheet produce more power?
Because looks back on
Flex.
So there's more reflection and less heat. There's a direct correlation, again, to how hot something runs to how efficient it is. When it's more efficient, it produces more power. There's a reason why there's a radiator on a car. It differs the heat. There's a reason why there's heat sinks on an amplifier. We take that heat away from the module, it'll run more efficient and in turn produces more power. The same thing with the frame, keeping the frame further away. It's like having a radiator on a car. Our frames themselves are a 50 millimeter or a 2-inch frame. The industry standard is 50 pounds per square foot. Okay? We are over twice the industry standard with 113 pounds per square foot. So when it comes to snow loads or wind loads, these are designed to be able to take the test of time. And in the Northeast, I think you guys get a lot of snow. Salt mist certification and PID free. So salt mist certification, there are 5 different levels of salt mist certification. A lot of companies will get level 1. It's almost like a marketing level. They can now say that they've passed the salt mist certification. We have surpassed level 5. PID, you guys probably already know what PID is. It's more exciting stuff. All right, so PID is potential induced degradation. It only happens when you use a transformerless inverter. So an ungrounded inverter. All transformerless, so Power One, SMA, those are ungrounded inverters. PID happens when, so this module that you're seeing here that's got the black cells on it, those are actually dead cells that are no longer producing power. This is a module that has been affected by putting a transformerless inverter on there. Now, a lot of people wonder why doesn't nobody ever mentioned this before? Because we are a global company, there are things that we see on a global level that others don't. There are things that we see on a utility scale that others don't. And transformerless inverters are primarily used in Europe, and we also use them on our utility scale. So we see this, happen, have seen it happen over time. Well, what ends up happening in a transformerless inverter or an ungrounded inverter is there is a positive and negative energy that is being produced by that cell. So it's power, there's positive and negative. Well, if the inverter is not grounded or it's a transformerless, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So it's going to go find somewhere, and it goes into the frame. And it builds up over time, and it cannot discharge. So once it hits a certain level, it actually starts to kill that solar cell. That's the reason why you're seeing it happen along the frame first. With ours being PID free, and we're the only ones that are PID free. Others are PID resistant. We are PID free. We have surpassed the testing requirements, and I think we're at like 4 times the amount of time that others have gone through testing wise. And so our testing parameters are a lot greater, and we don't have that milliamp leakage from the solar cell going into the frame and building up over time. So we did that through changing our glass, our EVA, and the seal that's around the frame itself.
So I'm sorry, what is the one called that we use? So it's not the transformerless inverter?
We can now use transformerless inverters because we are PID free.
PID.
Most companies will say, yeah, go ahead and use PID or go ahead and use a transformerless inverter. It's no big deal. But this is what this is not just one manufacturer. Every manufacturer is affected by PID.
So the only transformers that were used the SMA. Enphase and Solar Edge.
Correct.
And again, the PID stands for?
Potential induced degradation.
So the frame becomes like a capacitor?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? Talking about PID. All right. So hail test. Hail test is standardized in the industry. It's taking a 1-inch piece of hail, 52 miles an hour, 10 points of contact on the module, and it's at a 90-degree angle. So we're shooting this 1-inch piece of hail straight at a 90-degree angle. Have you ever seen a module break from hail?
Can't say I have.
I haven't either. Okay. The reason being is hail sitting on somebody's home like this. When hail comes into a home, it's like this. It's the reason why asphalt shingles get chewed up all the time. Okay. So it's almost shearing off these panels, where the test we do is a 90-degree impact at 10 points on that module. Now, if the chunk of hail is the size of a grapefruit and it would go through the roof, it's probably going to go through the module. Okay.
Did you say 52 miles per hour?
52 miles an hour.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I had clicked through. So 52 miles an hour, 10 various points across the module. All right, so inverters. We'll explain each one of the inverters. So in phase, it's easy to design. You see that you can fit 19 modules on there. You can go fit 19 inverters. You can have 5 over here and 4 over there, and all of them can work together. You can have different angles and azimuths and everything else, and they will function, and each will produce its own power. Okay, so it's very easy for the design. You get added power because it works great for shaded areas. The inverter in itself is more efficient and in turn will produce more power. The question becomes, is it worth the cost of the actual inverter? So let's say the cost is 20 or 30% more. Is it giving you 20 or 30% more power? Unless it's in a shade area, it's not. Okay. So you would never put a microinverter on an area where it doesn't have any shade. It does have a 25-year warranty. Now I know in the PPA that we offer, it's 20 years. It's covered by the home or covered by the PPA. Homeowner doesn't have any out-of-pocket expense. But at some point in time, let's say the homeowner wants to turn around and buy the system. They will still have 5 years left of that warranty beyond the 20-year PPA. But the standardized warranty within phase is technically 10 years. It's outside of the PPA. It's 10 years full, and it's prorated from year 11 through 25. And they don't necessarily pay for labor to go get it replaced. Now, underneath the PPA, it's 100% coverage, all labor is included. Okay. So when you look at the added 5 years, that's when you get into the proration, and it's not necessarily labor. When you read the fine print of the warranty, it says it's at their discretion. It's not saying they have to, and so far they have been. So if an in-phase inverter has been failing, they turn around and they do go pay the installer labor to go take care of that. But they technically don't have to. Okay. That's what the little inverter looks like. SMA. SMA, you can do the 110 outlet. This is only in jurisdictions where the rapid shutdown is not required. So we wouldn't use this module or this inverter in Massachusetts right now, because for you to go add a rapid shutdown component to this, it would increase the cost, and it's just not cost effective. Okay.
Is the rapid shutdown for fires? Is that what it's for?
I think it is for fires. Yeah. Well, it's also safety for the people on the line. So if the power goes out, the inverter has to shut down within a certain amount of time. Yeah. So you can have a 110 outlet that is taken or put off the inverter, and it will function when the grid goes down and there's sunlight. So typically when the grid goes down, the whole thing shuts down. You're not producing any power at all. That's safety precaution for the people on the line, that we're not feeding power back onto the line for their safety. The 110 outlet, there literally would be the inverter, a switch, and then the outlet. And that outlet could be right underneath the inverter. The outlet could be ran to wherever it needs to be ran. It could be into the garage or wherever. It all depends on the installer and what they're willing to do. So ideally, if you ever were going to go sell that, please don't go say, oh yeah, it's 200 feet away. The installer will go install that outlet 200 feet away, and they've got to go through the entire home to be able to get through it, and it's a finished home. That's not going to happen. Okay. So most of the time when that outlet is installed, it's right below the inverter, And the switch needs to be turned on when the grid goes down and there's sunlight. So when I flip that switch, what it does internally is that, let's say there was a left and a right side, and this left side was going back out into the grid, and this is the conversion from DC to AC power. What it will do is when I flip that switch, this whole system still is disengaged because there's no power from the grid, and this right-hand side will then take power directly off the module and convert it from DC to AC in this one outlet. If I don't go flip that switch after the grid comes back on, I'm not producing any energy. I'm only producing energy to this outlet. So they need to physically go flip that switch again. The things that you can run are things like a computer, a cell phone, a fan, a TV, a small refrigerator, or even larger, newer refrigerators that have the variable speed compressor. So if it's not a newer refrigerator, the variable speed compressor doesn't need 20 amps worth of power. This outlet is only 15 amps. So if you go plug in the refrigerator, your car charger, the computer, the video game set, a freezer, this thing's going to kick out, okay? Just like any other breaker. You cannot overload it. It'll just shut down. And then again, I want to remind you, it's only while the sun is shining. Some customers have gotten confused by this and saying, oh, I've got this one outlet, it's not working. And it's 10 o'clock at night. They're wondering why it's not working. It only works when the sun is shining. There are customers that have heard about this, and you could install, let's say, an 8 kW, one inverter. It's gotten to the point where some customers are going, you know what, give me 2 inverters because I want 2 outlets. Okay, so that can't happen if you've ever, I don't know if you guys have you ran into that yet? Where customers ask for 2 inverters? You've never had it. That's right. That's right. That's right. I actually did know that because you'll see the last point. It is a lot easier to string. So these inverters now, you can have, you used to have balanced strings.
You'd have to have 10 and 10.
You'd have to have 10 and 10.
6 and 6.
Now, with this inverter, you could have 12 and 8. And those 2 strings would work independently and be perfectly fine. You no longer have to do that. The way that we're able to do it is from having dual MPT. That's a dual input, essentially, with 2 different amounts of power going into the inverter, and the inverter can recognize it and allow each one of them to produce exactly what they're going to be producing. It is a lower upfront cost than a microinverter. It's transformerless. Next one says dual MPT. And then Solar City does not have it.
Solar City doesn't have Enphase either, at least not in this area. They don't touch microinverters. They go solar edge before they do.
Okay. And I can see more and more of that happening just because of the cost of Solar Edge. Solar Edge is lower than Enphase, but it produces more power than Enphase. So it's more efficient than Enphase, like a 1%.
Right. Oh, Vivint's going away from microinverters. We're going to do the Trina panels that are the power optimizers in the panels.
Okay. So there is a cell sheet directly from SMA, but again, all of our SMA inverters are going to be private labeled to say SunEdison.
So you guys can find that information online.
Solar Edge. So it gives the power of a microinverter plus a little bit more. It is a lower cost than a microinverter. It's kind of, if you look at a string inverter, you know, let's say it's $1 and Enphase is $1.25. This is going to be somewhere in between there when it comes to the actual cost. I'm using those as examples. Those aren't actually what the cost is. So it's lower than a microinverter. It's a little bit higher than a string inverter, but it gives the power of a microinverter. There are fewer parts in comparison to a microinverter. A microinverter has about a little over 300 parts up on the roof when you're installing that microinverter. Because Solar Edge uses a power optimizer, there's about 150 parts in that component up on the roof, and the remaining those parts are in a string inverter that's down below, okay, that does the actual conversion. So the cost of install, instead of having that, have you ever seen that on Enphase, there's that trunk line that is 110, because you're converting power right at the module, and then they have this big, it's almost like a Christmas tree, you can go from Christmas lights to Christmas lights, and they just keep plugging in. That's what this thing is. It's like a big power strip. And each module gets plugged into this power strip, and then it goes back to the main panel. Solar Edge, you're still maintaining all DC power on the roof, so it's just standardized DC wiring. It's a lot less expensive. Goes into the inverter, and then it's converted from DC to AC at that point, and then directly into the panel. Safety-wise, it does have the rapid shutdown, and it has a 1 volt per panel when you're looking at the test. So if you look at the actual string inverter in the home, if you have 8 modules on a string, you'll have 8 volts that will show up on the display in that string inverter. If for some reason you have 8 modules and there's only 7 volts, one of those modules is out of sync. Okay.
And what that means for installers is a heck of a lot safer for them to install that. If they mess up, they just get a little shock instead of a really nasty shock.
Yeah, 1 volt is nothing. I mean, the other ones could be up to 600 volts.
Right.
It's huge difference. Same thing with firemen. Firemen up on the roof, I mean, you're dealing with 1 volt instead of 600 volts. And then you can have module level monitoring the same as in phase. Now, one thing that we do is through our rocks, we can see module by module on both in phase and Solar Edge, but the homeowner doesn't necessarily see module by module. We don't want a bunch of nuisance phone calls because of our positive power tolerance. We have one that sits at 270, one that's sitting at 273. We don't want homeowners calling up and say, hey, I've got one that's doing 273 and this other one's doing 270. You got to have somebody come out and fix this thing. They don't have module by module. We will, but all they're going to see is this entire string is doing X. Okay. Now, if they were to turn around and call in phase and say, hey, in phase, I heard one of my neighbors can actually see module by module. Can I get that? They can get that directly from in phase. It's a one-time fee. I think it's somewhere around $400. And then they would have that ability to see it module with module, but that is not something that we put in the package right up front, just simply because we don't want those nuisance phone calls. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, we're going to see it. We're going to notify the homeowner probably before, you know, they even know anything's wrong with the system. Now, the other thing we do with our gateways is our gateways, let me back up here.
This is big for everybody, just so you know, pay attention to this, this is awesome.
So our gateways are done with either the SMA inverter or the Solar Edge. And most monitoring systems, there's a difference between monitoring and how we actually monitor. Most companies that will say there's monitoring will give the little, let's use home security as an example. You've got the little home security, you've got a little pad on the side of the wall, and you come into your home, you push the little code, and it's secure, you can get into the home. Now, if somebody breaks into your home and you're not hooked up to somebody that monitors it, it's going to make a lot of noise, but the burglar is still going to come in, take everything you have, and go ahead and leave, and no cops are going to show up. That's what a lot of companies do. They tell customers, oh, there's monitoring, and all they have is the actual device that the homeowner gets to see themselves. There's no third party that's watching this. SunEdison is the third party that is watching this. We're like the operator that are going to go call the cops. That's what we do. Those go into one of those 3 rocks. Who can tell me where those rocks are around the world? Spain, India, California. Our gateway is a 2-way communication. Most that even go to that monitoring level to, you know, if somebody's watching it, it's a 1-way communication. So they can see the data that's going to their system and they see that something's wrong, but they cannot actually push back information. Ours is a 2-way gateway. And it's one of the requirements to be one of our vendors with inverters is we require all of the fail codes. If they won't give us the fail codes, they are not a vendor of ours. And SMA for years would not give us the fail codes, so they were not a vendor of ours. They eventually said, okay, I guess you guys saw a lot of stuff. We want some of that business. Here's our fail codes. Us seeing those fail codes, we can now determine exactly what's wrong and go change it without ever going back to the home. An inverter, when you really think about it, it's a computer, okay? And with a computer, if you have a problem with a computer, outside of having Cody here and fixing it, you know, for us, when you have a problem with a computer and you take it to your IT department or to Best Buy, what is the very first thing they do? Or if you call somebody over the phone and go, okay, my computer's not working, what should I do? What is the first thing they tell you to do?
Unplug it from power, shut it down.
They reboot the computer. And 90% of the time, when you reboot the computer, everything's perfectly fine. We can do that remotely.
That's awesome. Can I tell
Yeah.
a quick story? I had a
Yes.
customer, they put a 20 amp breaker instead of 50 amp breaker, so the system kept kicking off. And the customer was going out in 20-degree weather to reboot their own system. And they did that 15, 20 times a day. So being able to do that is fantastic. Are you talking about the cell backup?
Yes.
That's what I'm really
Yeah.
excited about.
So us being able to reboot the computer or the inverter, homeowner, again, may never know anything about it. There's fewer days of lost power, and we don't have to make that nuisance phone call of that homeowner saying, oh, your system's down, we need to send somebody out, or can you go out there and reset the computer? All of a sudden, if that happened every time that had to happen, the homeowner's perception is, man, this thing's always breaking. And I'm always having to go out there. Somebody's always coming out to my house. With ours, you don't necessarily, they would never know it. Again, this only applies to our gateway, which is on either an SMA or a solar edge. In phase is their own deal, and we don't have that communication because it's not our gateway. We can still see all the data. We can still see module by module performance, but we cannot push information back because of the way that communication, that gateway is
Most likely
working.
the word that they would never be using microburst unless they specifically asked for that.
So the other thing is how is it hooked into the internet? Ideally, we want it to be a landline, and you guys don't have to worry about this. I mean, this is really for the installer, but ideally we want a landline to where it's a hardwire Cat5 going directly into their modem. Option number 2 is being wireless, going directly into their modem. Option number 3 is cellular. So if they don't have internet, or internet is spotty, or internet, they shut it down because this is their, they only live here 7 months out of the year, and they're gonna go shut their internet down. Then they can go cellular. If they're in a remote area and they need to go cellular, all of this data can be done via cellular. The next thing we can do, which I don't know if you know this or not, let's say you're selling a PPA. Right now, when you sell a PPA, you are required to have an internet connection. With ours, you do not have to have an internet connection. You do not have to have cellular backup. You can go sell a PPA without internet. It is all done based on estimation. So if the system goes down, the homeowner in that scenario has got to notify us. But if we say we estimate that system in that given month is going to produce 1,000 kilowatt hours, and we're selling it at, let's say, 15 cents or whatever it happens to be, they're going to be getting a bill for $150, whether it produces it or not. So there's more of a risk for the homeowner, but it still gives you the ability to still go sell solar in markets or areas where you couldn't in the past.
Just so about the cell backup, I have a lot of customers who, for whatever reason, there's not communication with their gateway with Solar City. And so they're not able to either monitor it or it's incorrect monitoring. So just having a secondary backup is huge because they're getting calls from Solar City. And I'm having people have new gateways getting sent out, and it just looks bad. So having a backup, a secondary communication is really freaking awesome.
Yeah. Now with the PPA, there is no production guarantee. I mean, typically the PPAs, they're just not. You're only paying for the power that's being produced. So if it doesn't produce power, you don't have a payment. The racking we've already kind of talked about. Again, it's Unirack. It's a railed system. The penetrations that are going through the roof, again, have to go directly into the rafters. Our roof warranty, which you'll see this on the information of the PPA, the roof warranty is 1 year or whatever is remaining left on their current warranty, whichever is greater. Okay, so let's say their roof no longer has a warranty, where we go through the penetrations, we're still going to give a 1 year warranty. Let's say that we have a penetration and they've got 5 years left of the warranty, then it will be 5 years in that scenario. Now, we are not warranting the entire roof. We will not go replace shingles on the north side of the home where we had nothing to do with the solar. It is dealing only with the penetration of where that standoff was being put into the home. And if it leaks, we have that warranty.
So if the customer has 15 years left on the roof warranty, you take over the existing roof warranty.
Of where the penetration
Not the panels on it, right.
where the penetration is, right. We will not, let's say there's a penetration and then there's a panel that's covering here. We're not going to cover that. That's the standard, whatever manufacturer gave them the roof warranty. We didn't touch this part, so we have nothing to do with it. They still go back to that roof warranty. But the area where we touched, that's where that warranty is. We're going to honor whatever their length of their warranty is. Because there's a lot of roof manufacturers who say, well, if you put solar on your home, then we're going to void your warranty. Well, we're going to cover that warranty, but the stuff we didn't touch, they still have to honor that warranty because we didn't do anything with it.
Right, so this is actually a common concern of customers that comes up, that what happens if anything happens to the roof, but not in the section now where the puncture is, then.
They would go back to their warranty of whatever the warranty is of their roof. We wouldn't have anything to do with it. It would be equivalent to us saying, yes, we put solar on the south side of your home, but we're going to cover the entire warranty and something happens on the north side of the home.
Well, no, not the
We didn't
north
touch
side.
it.
I'm talking about where the panels are.
I know, but again, even if there's panels, the panel, if anything, lengthens the life of those shingles anyway, because we're shielding it from the sun.
Mhm.
So we didn't touch it. We don't have anything to do with it. Their warranty is whatever their warranty is. Yes.
The only thing is, in terms of the customer's expectation, when it comes to roof leaks, I was in the industry before home improvements, it's hard to determine the exact spot the leak originated. So for them, it's on the south side. North, south, I get it, but if it's on the south side, it's leaking. If we get into that little nickel and dime, it could backfire.
How
It's hard to
would you
determine.
actually know?
Well, sometimes you might have staining or damage on this over here, but the leak came from over there. But that's
Wouldn't you be able to see it in the attic?
Not always.
Not always.
Not always.
Yeah, it's not as black and white as you may think.
You have to
A lot
have
of
it
gray.
inspected though.
Yeah, it's just,
So how would they, let's say we were in the other business, in the roofing business, how would they determine?
Send an inspector.
So they would have somebody come out
Yeah.
and they would verify that there's an issue with their shingles. How is that any different?
The two companies are gonna be arguing back and forth.
it's
though.
good.
Based
The
on
customer
who's
is not
responsible.
very good. If we have an insurance policy set up, like a $2 million insurance policy, I don't know, if we have an insurance policy, I always like to sell it to the customer. We want to fix it right away. Because we're not paying for it, you're not paying for it, that's why the insurance, so it just takes, it's care
Even
of
with
right
Solar
away.
City, it's the same thing. If the leak wasn't caused from the panels, Solar City's not covered.
No, that's not what we say. We always say that.
I know that's what you-
It's over the existing roof warranty for the length of the time that the homeowner has. And-
It's true,
and
but
homeowners
it's not
like that.
true.
I know that's what you say, but I'm telling you to read the fine print.
Solar City doesn't, this is a better warranty.
Have we ever actually come across a homeowner that has their roof warranty?
What do you mean?
Yes.
I actually have no
I don't
idea
know
what
a
my
single
roof warranty
person
is.
Who has a warranty on their roof,
Yeah,
except for the
people
one that
that
they got
have-
from the contractor.
Yeah.
Done, finished, end of story. Try getting a roof warranty at a GAF.
Yeah,
Can't go or-
exactly,
Good luck with that.
exactly.
Yeah, you file a claim on a roof warranty, they're gonna re-roof your whole roof.
But we
They're gonna
sound
only
this,
roof, I used to be a contractor, so they're not gonna re-roof, they're gonna know that people are gonna be scamming, they're gonna try to damage the roof in spots, so if it's not damaged completely all over, they're gonna only re-roof that one section. They're not gonna
I know that's
re-roof
what
the
you've
whole roof.
sold. It's not necessarily true.
in terms of customer service, I feel like, which is the case, I guess, but we feel like we're just the GAFs of the world, just trying to find a way out instead of trying to fix the problem.
Yeah.
So the customer feels like these guys just want a way out instead of the mentality, we want to take care of it.
And you can relay it as we would take care of it. If there's an
That's what
issue
insurance is
of
there,
the
so here.
of the area that we put solar or attach it to your home, if anything happens to that, we have a 1-year warranty or whatever the length of your existing warranty would be. We're going to cover that.
So
So how it's related to the homeowner, I know a lot of times solar companies have oversold it. I've literally had salespeople tell me, well, no, that other company said that if even there's problems on the north side of the home, they cover the entire, it's not different. Read the fine print.
No, I get that, but the south side
If there's a
scenario,
leak, Solar City will come out and inspect it, and if it is because from their penetrations, then they will pay for it. But if it's not from their penetrations, they will not pay for it. Right, and there's already been examples in Albany of that. I had a customer that had to have their panels removed, it was from an ice dam. It was determined it was not Solar City's fault, so they're not gonna pay for it. The homeowners
Insurance
insurance is
does.
paying for it.
It's not our warranty isn't any different than anybody else's out there. And if anything, it's greater because we have 1 year or whatever the existing number of years is on their roof warranty. Some will do 1 year on penetrations and not even talk about their existing warranty.
So it is the same as Solar Cities, but I've even been understanding it as the entire roof that the system's on. Now I understand that I've been even saying it wrong, that it is the actual penetration point.
Recommend damage.
That's right.
Can I ask another question then?
No, you're done. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
I'm
kidding.
just trying to help Mark present it in the most positive way possible.
Yes.
I know we have fewer penetrations than they do because the Unirex.
Yes.
What percentage less penetration do you do? Double penetration, triple penetration than we do? How many more penetration they do compared to us, so they get less probability of a roof leak because of the way we do it?
It obviously would depend on the size of the system. You typically are having, depending on your jurisdiction, so depending on wind load and snow load, you could have a penetration on each rail every 4 feet or every 2 feet. Okay. What I did on my home, I have Unirac. I went based on my jurisdiction and wind load, snow load, and I live in Nebraska. I could go every 4 feet. So I skipped one rafter on the bottom rail, but on the top rail, I did offsetting. So my 2 feet and then 4 feet. So it was always offsetting on each side. So I balanced the weight. I don't know what your jurisdiction is. Okay. I don't know what racking you've been using in the past. If you're using a non-railed system, typically there are 4 penetrations for every panel, and that penetration has at least 4 screws in it. Our penetration is 1 screw directly into the rafter.
In ZEP, there's one.
And there's flashing.
In ZEP, there's 1 penetration per flashing. Okay. And then, but there are 4 per panel, but the panels will share that same thing. So
In the middle.
bottom panel is gonna have 4, but then the top 2 is gonna be shared by the next panel, and the side panels are gonna be sharing them. So it is 4 per panel, but it's not, if you've got 10 panels, it's not gonna be 40%.
But just to simplify it, we're roughly like half of what they.
I'd love to see that number.
It'd be nice to just-
So we'll draw it out.
Explanation of it.
It's going to depend on,
Because the customer might get lost.
it's going to depend on the layout. I mean, there's so many things that are going to be different.
There's so many
Okay,
factors.
so
Yeah.
based on what you just told me, you have a penetration there. You have it again there. This is how theirs would be.
Something like that. a little
Not
bit.
exactly.
Yeah,
These are the shared ones though.
they got them in the middle too.
Yeah.
You're sharing.
Yeah, they have them in the
corner.
middle too. I actually have
What am I missing?
In other words, these 2 are gonna be 1.
Oh, that, okay, got it.
And the other axis.
Okay, so on ours, there would be 2 rails, and it would be done there.
That's helpful, thank you.
We are visual learners.
Thanks.
Now with
Actually, there'd be
Unirac,
one there and one there. Yeah.
with Unirac,
So they actually have like 2. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the share. Right. So 1, 2.
Thanks.
now with Unirac, can you do portrait and landscape? Or
Yes, you can.
can?
The other thing that I think is good for us, one, these are all there's flashing underneath. It's also underneath the module. Whereas these are exposed from the outside. Ours, it's all underneath the panel. So the likelihood of water being able to get there, I'm only dealing with the water from this top one
Yeah,
that is going to go off here to hit this penetration.
it's basically roofed over.
Yes.
Do they cut the racks clean at the end, or do the racks stick out a little bit?
They stick out a little bit, just because the clamp is on the outside. I mean, there are mid clamps and end clamps, and then you typically have the grounding. So like on mine, it probably sticks out,
3 inches.
yeah, probably a little bit less than 3 inches.
Are the racks the same color as the panels? Or
Yes, they are. They're all black.
Live in versus being silver.
Correct.
The wind guards, anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
They can
There-
go more flush in the roof.
We've had that come up. As of right now, we do not have a wind guard. So that flashing that kind of finishes it off on the front side, I think it looks great. We don't have that right now.
I seen this done by Hudson Solar. They put a little we call it mesh case around the whole system to keep birds
like
out.
rodent guards or squirrels or
Yeah.
birds or
I
whatever.
don't know if that's even an issue.
It's not something that we typically would put on, but if the contractor or the homeowner wanted to do it, so like my sister, she lives in Phoenix, she added that to hers. But it wasn't part of the standardized package.
How was that installed?
How was that installed? Was it okay?
It's just like a mesh gate. It's like a black chicken
wire.
Yeah,
Chicken wire.
around the whole perimeter.
So squirrels and birds can't go build nests underneath. I didn't put anything on mine. I mean,
Is that even
I don't
an
have an
issue? Have you heard of it at all?
in certain areas, like my sister, she deals with pigeons for whatever reason, and they try to go build nests underneath there. Yeah, some squirrels. Yeah, I don't know. You know squirrels. They are squirrely. All right, so this is the rock. We've got maybe, 10 minutes before lunch. So that's an actual picture of the rock. You can see how they have these, it looks like a war room. So these are up on the wall, and then each individual person is monitoring different systems. Now in the residential and even the large commercial, there are algorithms that are going to be, would pull up a red flag. I get asked the question, well, how quickly do you respond? What do you do when you see something? We aren't necessarily going to go have a knee-jerk reaction if a system goes down for a couple hours. If we see something that is reoccurring, because we don't know if there was, let's say and we actually will look at the weather. Let's say you ended up getting a bunch of snow and now there's no production, but we see no production across the entire state. Okay, that's probably going to be snow. Or if we see one home go into, they drop in power, but then they go back up, that's probably a cloud coming over that home. We're not going to do something. That's not going to trip the algorithms. But all of a sudden we see something that goes down and it's down for 6 hours, or it's down for a day, or it's down for 3 days. At that point, that's going to throw up a red flag saying there's something wrong here. Let's go check it out. And then we'll go look at all those fail codes and determine exactly what's wrong.
And Solar City customers recalled this, the Northeast recalled this last winter. Why, is your system okay? Everything running right? Well, guess what? There's snow. So that made them look really not good.
Even on some of our utility scale, we don't do this on the residential, but we'll put cameras so we can physically see those systems. In some of those Whole Foods, Walgreens, Staples, we'll put cameras on there so we can physically see what's going on.
That would be a great selling point.
But they will not do it for residential.
Do what? If we put that on somebody's home?
Yeah, it would be a great selling point because it's actually gone up by camera.
Provide security and have monitor.
Yeah. I think some people get freaked out just the fact that we're watching it, and
Right.
now we go put a camera. Like, how many cameras did you actually put in my home?
Come back.
The reason why we put financing up there is we are responsible on utility scale, that there are investors that will be part of different solar systems, and those investors want to see what the numbers are, and we have to provide that information. So we'll do a lot of reporting on the financial side for each one of those systems. When it comes to warranty, we actually cover the entire system, and this is going to differ from other companies. So SunEdison, because we are creating a kit and we're selling it to the homeowner, and we're a publicly traded US manufacturer, we turn around and backstop all of the components that are there. So if you go sell a in-phase inverter, and in-phase says, sorry, we're not going to go ahead and honor that, we turn around, or they go out of business, we turn around and backstop that company. Okay. What it's equivalent to is you go buy a brand new car and your alternator goes out. What do? You take it back to the dealer. The dealer replaces the alternator and deals with the manufacturer. Let's say the manufacturer decided to change alternator manufacturers. That's not my responsibility as the car buyer. The manufacturer made that choice. So the manufacturer then replaces it with whatever alternator there is today that works with my car, and I get my car back and I've made whole. That's exactly what SunEdison does. Okay? You would expect that from a good company. What other companies do is they go build a system and they don't take responsibility because they didn't make that inverter. And it would be equivalent to you buying a brand new car. the alternator goes out and the dealer tells you, yeah, sorry, the manufacturer of the car did not make that alternator. You're gonna have to go back to the alternator manufacturer to go ahead and get that replaced or repaired. And I have no idea what the labor coverage is or anything else. Here's a number. It's a number, it's in China. You've got to call them at the right time to be able to get a hold of them, but good luck in trying to call China, okay? That's what other companies will do. But SunEdison, because we are a publicly traded US manufacturer, we backstop all those companies. Linear warranty. I'll actually go to the next one. So it's a 25-year linear warranty that we will guarantee 80% of the power by year 25. And this is just how the math works. Everything you're seeing in orange is what we give it as added protection versus others that offer a step-down warranty. So in a step-down warranty, they can technically lose 10% in year one and still not have to pay anything out, okay? The reality of how a step-down warranty, if they were to go pay out, they really don't pay out until they get to year 8, 9, and 10, because they could drop 5% and all of a sudden this thing starts to degrade, and I go into that white, that's where they're gonna go pay out. Now, as a manufacturer, if something happens here, they're probably gonna go ahead and replace the panel, okay? But then year 11 happens and they get to drop another 10%. So now there's no payout, no payout, no payout, and now there's a payout. Out here, they're probably not going to replace the panel because it's more cost effective for them to go pay the customer rather than going and replacing that panel, okay? So on a linear warranty, it's 3.5 in the first year and 0.7 every year after that. And that's how we get to the equation of having 80% at year 25. Any questions on that?
Can we have this slide?
Yes, you may. There's actually,
Yeah, it's one of the videos. Yeah.
so we do have an app.
Open it up. Yeah.
So the app, once it loads, you can see it on my phone. It'll say Echo, right? So this is the initial app. Every homeowner has access to this when they're utilizing either an SMA or a Solar Edge. If it's an in-phase, they're going to get the in-phase Envoy and app, okay? But if it's those 2 string inverters, then they're going to have this app. So they're going to have, you can see this system, you can kind of click through it. This is actually somebody's system that works for SunEdison, and it will show you, I'm going to click on the little lightning bolt, and it will show the power that's being produced as of right now. That's what you're seeing on this little app right here on the screen. And you guys can click through it, but you can see this on a day, a week, a month, a year, or year to date, okay?
Are we gonna have access to a live system that we can demonstrate?
So what we've done is both BJ and Cody have screenshots of this. Having access to this, he also has, I don't know if he still has it, but at one point he had our thermostat, which our thermostat, we can control the temperature remotely, kind of like you do with a Nest. And so he doesn't necessarily allow everybody to have this because now all of a sudden you got to start messing with it.
What's the
So-
app called?
That could be fun.
Is what?
What's the app called?
Echo.
Echo.
So we've created screenshots to where if you want to go show a customer, you can flip through your phone and show them. It's not going to be the homeowner's not going to know any different. Okay. So they will have access through both Apple or Android, and then they can also go through a PC.
Echo, just Echo.
Yeah, just type if you're looking for the app right now, just look for Echo. It's been a while since I've downloaded it, so. So this is what that app looks like, what you're seeing. Now the homeowners that are going to be seeing theirs will not have this logo on there or icon. He actually has one of our Echo systems that is also hot water. Here you're not going to sell hot water. It's going to be solar electric only. So you only see that icon. On his, you're also seeing this little line down here. This is not available for you to sell. We're doing beta testing. We actually do sell it in Australia, and we do it also on our commercial DG side. But this is actually load monitoring. So we have the ability to do it through our gateway. All the software is there. We use it. We just don't sell it on the residential side right now in the US. It is on my phone or his system, wherever and what it does is load monitoring is saying this little green line you're seeing in this upper center picture. Green line is kind of the stagnant electricity you're using on a continuous basis. You know, it's the alarm clocks, it's the microwave being plugged in, it's the fan that's always running, whatever your stagnant electricity usage is. The red line is actually when I turn something on. And there are 4, they call them CTs, that are hooked up to 4 breakers. And you can determine exactly how much power is being consumed by that individual, whatever's hooked onto that breaker, at any given time. So as utilities change their rules, this is going to become more and more of a value to a homeowner. As an example, on a commercial side of it, we had one of our customers that turned around and they were turning something on at 4 o'clock, a compressor of some sort at 4 o'clock. If they were to turn that thing on at 5 o'clock, it would save them $100 a day. So we called them up and said, whatever you're turning on at 4, if you can turn on at 5, it's going to save you about $100 a day. And they're like, oh, we didn't even know. And so they turned it, because we know all we build systems for utilities, we know all the tricks of the trade. We know what they're doing with their power. So that customer was happy the fact that we were monitoring it, we could see their load and know. So those 4 CTs on a residential, when it does come out, it is a different component that you would have to add. I'm not telling you this to tell a customer, wait for this to come out, don't buy today because this technology is coming in the future. If this stops you from selling it today, stop talking about it. The reason why I'm telling you is I'm trying to explain to you or show you that we are an advanced company. We're looking towards the future, and this is part of the technology that will be coming in the future to be sold. It is a component that needs to be added to the inverter. That's an added cost that some customers may or may not ever want to buy. But we are an advanced company, and we're looking at this, and we currently sell it.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Whenever you have a good stopping point, we'll break for lunch. The cafe downstairs, we'll go to.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yep, we'll be done like right at noon.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So this is showing you the picture in the lower center of these 4 CTs. You know, this might be a pool pump kicking in. You know, this might be an HVAC unit on the yellow. This red one might be a home office that's, you know, I've got my computer and lights are on all the time and I work from home. So there are 4 CTs that are going to be hooked up, and the customer would then choose what areas they want to do. So if they want to do a hot tub, a pool, HVAC, and a theater room or something, or maybe it's the refrigerator. They choose what those 4 things are. And then even further advancement is to integrate with the thermostat to adjust your AC unit or heating unit whenever you need to based on demand charges. Right now, do you guys have demand charges here?
Supply and delivery, or what do you mean by demand charge?
So do they charge you more for certain times of the day, or do they have?
We're switching over to the.
Well, for New York, I don't know about Connecticut and Mass.
Okay, so as utilities do that, so like in California, there are 4 tiers.
Yep.
Or there's in Arizona, there's time of use. So where my sister, she will not do laundry from like 10 or 11 in the morning till like 6 o'clock at night. She always has to do laundry outside of those parameters because they charge a different kilowatt rate during those hours. For commercial businesses, they might do peak demand to where in the morning, if a company starts everything up all at once and it spikes up to whatever, that's what they get charged for the entire day. Okay. So this is another reason why battery backup will be a thing of the future, is we will be able to determine exactly how much power is being put out into the grid and how much power we're going to be pulling from the grid. If all of a sudden in a commercial application, I have all these things turning on at once, I could pull from my batteries at one point. Once I'm running, I drop down in power, and now I can go pull from the grid. And I'm never having to pay that high price. So there is a sell sheet specifically for that app. This is what it looks like on a PC. So they'll see their home, not their home, but just a mock-up of a home. And when it's producing power, this little purple line will be moving so they can see that it's actually generating power. And at night, it'll shut down and they won't see that little purple thing going around in a circle. This is just showing you, you know, in the morning and then middle of the day and then at night. Okay.
Does it show you the home's usage, what is pulling from the grid?
No. Underneath the load, that's something we could do in the future, but we're not doing right now. This is just to explain the kit, the fact that, you know, it's the modules, the inverter, it's the racking, and it's the monitoring. So our monitoring device is guaranteed for that 20 years during that PPA. So if they were going to use In-Phase as an example, and they have that little Envoy, that Envoy is guaranteed for 20 years. Any questions on the module? These are just kind of an entire breakdown of everything we've talked about so far.
So if you have a white back sheet, you're going to get the little white dots on it?
Yes.
The black one, no.
Yeah. Little diamonds that will show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going forward, you will actually see our modules go to a full cell. So if this is the entire module, normally you have that cut off little cut corners that are creating that diamond. So then the next one comes in. That's the reason why you see that little diamond. Okay. Going forward, we will go to a full cell and you won't see those little diamonds. It'll be squared off. So we can get more surface area, more power.
Okay. And do we give customers the option? White or black? Not really.
No. Go-to module, 270 all black.
You said that twice.
And when do we anticipate that it's gonna be like that, with the diamonds not even showing?
It may actually be right now. I just don't know what's in stock versus what's being put out there. In the end, what all you would see for you would just see a 270. Maybe it's a, let's say this one right now on a diamond one, even if it was an all black module, they still can have those little diamonds. Well, the little diamond one might be a 265. But all of a sudden we go to a full cell and it becomes a 270. For you, it's just the wattage of the panel. Okay. And if you're not really selling the white back sheet anyway, you're not going to, you never see it. So it's almost a moot point. Now, like my parents, yeah, it's all black. You don't have to talk about a full cell versus the little diamonds because they're never going to see that anyway.
Okay. How flat are they as far as how many inches away from the roof are they installed?
With Unirac, it's probably, I want to say 4 inches from the bottom of the module, and then the module itself is 2 inches. Might be 3 inches. I don't know what that rail. The rail is probably this
So it's
tall.
approximately that height from the customer's roof, because that's
Well,
something
there's
that we
the-
always use as a selling point, how flat it is on the roof.
It's gonna be higher than Solar City.
It is gonna be higher.
It's from the bottom of the module to the roof. It's probably about this high. And I'm just going off my own memory for what's on my home. Because I know I have the standoff, I have the rail, and then the module sits on top of this, which that's a 2 inch.
It's gonna be about 7 to 8 inches.
And it doesn't have the skirt either, what we call a skirt.
Correct. But to a homeowner, they don't really know any different. They just know what's on their home. It's like looking at a refrigerator. If I never saw the other refrigerator on my home, I don't know what the comparison is.
Right.
And if you don't talk about it, it doesn't become an issue.
Well,
It was a selling advantage that you would talk about before. You just don't talk about it now.
Well, we don't talk about it, but they do see it, because in the neighborhoods, there's a lot of Solar City, and it's completely flat, and the customers are now starting to see it a lot in their own neighborhoods.
Okay.
So yeah, I will talk about it. I'm gonna
Right.
try to make it sound as good as possible, but yeah, they do see.
Well, remember
difference.
the Solar City mount has 4 screws in it, right? Which is 4 penetrations in the roof, whereas this just has 1.
Yeah, that's another good one to mention.
Correct.
Yes, redirect. Yes.
indirectly, it often does come up. The way it's presented to the housewife, I hate the way it looks, so I bring it up in that way. Where you're used to seeing, this is how ours looks.
Mhm.
So that's how it comes up. So not directly, but it does come up.
So part
Very
of the way that I would explain it to a homeowner, does that look better? I agree, but look at the overall appearance. What was the module? Was it a silver white poly? Silver white poly, silver frame, a poly cell, which is kind of bluish,
Bluish, yes.
and a white back sheet.
Yeah, this
It
one.
had a skirt, but the actual surface of what you saw doesn't even compare to how elegant this is going to look on somebody's home.
It's gonna match up with the composite roofing, it's a lot, much
Yes.
less of a contrast.
Yes.
So
it's just a different- and if I was selling against somebody that had the lower profile and they had the skirt, I would go, I know there's a lot of companies out there that want to make it look good, but the reality is how much power it's actually producing and how long this is going to be on your home. The reason why we keep it up off the roof a little bit more, I mean, it's literally about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches more, is to give you additional ventilation. Because if you don't ventilate underneath the panels will not last as long. And this is a big investment on the number one asset of your home.
Thank you for helping us cover that objection right there. That's the way
You're
I
welcome.
That's all we wanted, right
That's
there.
what's
See, it's a nugget.
That's actually what Vivid started doing too.
Okay.
Because of the, well, no one knows.
Which is a true statement. More ventilation
Yeah.
does help.
Yeah, that's how Vivid sells it versus Solar Cities now, because they lost it.
Well, you need to focus on the cost, the savings, the long term too. About the money, it's not.
Some people, whatever
I
the
know, I
hot
know.
button is, everybody got a different hot button.
That's true.
Right. All right, so we're at a point where we're done talking about the product. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure you're hungry. Any questions on SunEdison or the product before we break for lunch?
I have one quick question. You mentioned home automation.
Mhm.
What, how in SunEdison with that?
We do it now,
Like just thermostats, basically.
yes. I wouldn't sell it though.
No, just asking what they are.
We have the ability to do it right now.
Okay.
We just have not turned it on within our communication hub in that box.
The integration with Nest.
I know we're working with Nest. I think we'd like to work with Nest because Nest really is the brand when it comes to thermostats that do that. Ours does not integrate with Nest as of right now. I have a Nest on my home. I love that thing. It has saved me a boatload of money. Yeah. Okay. All right, so when we come back from lunch, I'm going to ask you the question of what did you take away from this morning? So just be prepared with what you remember or what you're going to take away. So for lunch, it's downstairs.
Lunch is downstairs. I think you get off the elevator and you take a left or a right. It could be one or the other.
More than likely, it's one or the other, or it could be straight.
Don't go straight to the middle wall.
All right.
Left or right. I'm pretty confident it's one of those.
So for those that are online, we're going to break until 1 o'clock East Coast time, and we'll be back at 1 o'clock. Enjoy your lunch, wherever you're eating. Try Taco Bell, I don't know, Burger King, McDonald's, try one of those. All right, enjoy.
I have a quick question. You guys do the panel recycling?
That goes back to our eradication of darkness. If the panel still works, we're going to go use it somewhere.
Yeah, like reallocation of it.
Yeah, or maybe say the panel went out, because I guess it's a mixed material, they can take it back and refurbish it.
You really don't.
You guys real quick, we're
Yeah.
just gonna eat downstairs in the cafe, just go downstairs, whatever you want, we'll take care of it for you. That's all.
Cody, shut, I don't know how to shut it on.
Yeah, certain charges.
Yeah, it's
Mute it.
that would be Cam and
Hey, everybody that is watching, we are going to take a break. We'll be about 45 minutes or so. There's no way to pause it, but it'll still stay active in the room here. But yeah, we'll get started again. What time do you tell them? We'll get started again at 1 o'clock.
What was the best? I'm trying to remember. You expressed it so well. Ventilation is needed in order to
Produce more power and to have longevity of the product.
produce more power and for the longevity of the product.
Yes. Because there's a direct correlation to how hot something runs and how efficient it is. It's the reason why there's a radiator on a car.
Direct correlation
To how hot something runs,
to how
efficient it operates.
hot something runs and how efficient it is.
Yes.
Where you from? Arizona?
Always lived there.
Really?
I've traveled for the last 18 years, so
Yeah.
I'm only there half the time.
Yeah. You taking good notes?
Yeah, this was a big one. This was a big one because this has been, the only thing that concerns me is stuff that I've used as a selling point for Solar City. Now it looks like
Yeah.
worse with this. So I definitely want to have good comebacks as far as.
So I'd love to do prices. That's great. We used to have this whole thing where an office like that was 900, but then we do for 3 months, and then the monthly average. I felt like a used car salesman. Yeah. So now it's really taken away the prices we want to all that money. So great. It's great. It's great. Okay. All right. I'll come see you when Chris is done. When it comes down. Thank you very much. Or roll off. Yes, you want to speak to Jonas? Hello, sir. How are you?
Pretty busy today.
Well, Mo's out. Christian had to do mail, and we got a packed conference. We're trying. We're trying. No, remember we put the termination in?
Yeah.
I got that where.
Okay. So I just want, okay, good. I just wanted.
You need to go month to month.
Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted, so as I get like what city,
You have someone.
I'm looking, I honestly would love to find something that.
So
So that's kind of what I'm starting to do right now. It's hard to find where, it's not easy. You have to make sure that you're putting yourself out there to find clients, or shit, like you have to do it all, one man band, you know? So, I mean, being here is helpful because you have someone to read your clients, so that's at least something that I can tell people, but, yeah, I'm working on that. I'm hoping that that will be the case, that I can just have somebody come in here, I can teach them to you, and then sign me. I'll give you close on that too.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you later.
Early day.
I'll go and see.
Okay.
I'm doing good. I think so.
Yeah.
You guys planning a meeting here to discuss that? So should maybe line up, let me know. I'll line up another plan.
Just so I knew where I got it all from. I just got it mainly all from, the black ones and then it was from storage. Thank God. Donner Foundation, my name is Cole. $200 million.
great rest of the day.
Very much.
Soak in some of those warm rays. It's
Yeah.
beautiful out. Yeah, we waited long for this. Keep
So
well.
much again.
Oh, my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Iced tea and sweet. Black and white.
And good to go. Just in the bathroom again. Thank you so much. I appreciate the switcheroo. Anytime. All right, be well. See you soon. Take care. I think next week, but I don't know. I can't keep track. All right. Enjoy the weather. Thanks. Services. Yeah. Yeah, they do. Oh, okay. Yes, they actually did do those folding first. So I'm not sure.
So Chris, you feel lonely? I am. I know, both ideas, that's gotta be. It's tough. We should go back next week. Yeah, Monday. That's good. Yeah. All right, I'll see you later. All right.
Oh, okay. All right. Nothing else, right?
No.
All right. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Christian. Enjoy your day. It's beautiful out.
I keep hearing him.
Oh, my God. All right, take care.
Thanks for the money every day, but thanks.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're explosive. Sorry. Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, I left with all those.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
No. Yes, please. Yes. All right, thank you.
You know, getting ready to go out for lunch. A little more meetings? Yes. Are you the guest speaker? I am.
She did sound very young.
Hello. Regis?
Yes.
Yes. That's me. Nice to meet you.
Depends on the house, it's not necessarily the owner having to go businesses.
So you're on reception.
So, yeah, that one, we've got rooms rented out to, it's like 5 businesses. We've got rooms that are rented out to,
This is, yes.
people, you know, who work.
Right,
Yes,
I
we
was,
do.
it's like a little bit longer than I.
Number of people.
Yes.
There's a house, just leaving Livingston Manor, not even, just
No,
on
this
the
is
outskirts.
This is definitely wouldn't work.
And I'll give you the name of his owner, I think it's Steve Training. His name is Jim. His number is 845-866. I'm sorry, that's mine. 845-701-1238. The best way to get a hold of him is to send him a text message. Say this for Jesse, renting a house. All right.
Did you want to see the space setting?
I'm sure.
All right.
There's no way that.
Okay. Let me know. I keep hearing.
I should, yeah. Well, I'm really glad.
Yeah, I'll only believe you. Yes, so everything's going on here right now.
Six. That's water. Just one split half and pour mine.
No. I need another one though. I'll take it, thanks.
Yeah.
I am not as fit as I should be, my friend.
Oh, me neither.
You did better than I did.
Jesus. I was running yesterday. We're like
I gotta start doing something again.
4.5, 5 miles. It was dead. It was terrible.
Yeah.
This is so much pain.
Where are you from?
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just,
Hello.
Yeah, now I was out here. Albany.
Nice.
Now I'm here in Albany.
Hey, what?
It's a big change.
I'm good. Just get back up into the meeting
That's right.
space.
Chicago's a big place.
Yeah, I
Just got back up into the meeting space.
Kind of like in the outskirts, but it's all Chicago. I have some bits already.
So what have you been up to?
I've worked in Chicago.
Mhm.
I worked
Yeah.
in Gatorade.
Okay.
I was looking
I
at.
had never been. We got to go out there and
It's really fun out there.
introduce. It's cool.
It's like a party city, honestly.
Party City?
Yeah.
too. Out there.
You ever go to that hot dog stand where they curse at you?
Been a couple
The
of
Wiener Circle, it's called.
I don't remember. No, I've not been to actually that one. There's a few hot dog stands down there where they have hot dogs and fries and mustard, and that's it. And there's a long lines.
Well, there's a place there, I saw it on, Jimmy Fallon? No, it was on Conan one night. And, they went to this place, and they're just known for being the rudest, nastiest servers on Facebook.
Oh,
Done on purpose.
yeah.
They yell at you, they curse at you.
I never been
Isn't there
there,
a
but I
restaurant
heard
called
about it.
Pigs that they're like, they're just mean, they throw rolls at you, treat you like crap.
It's part of the atmosphere.
Exactly.
But no, I heard about that. I never been, but I heard about it.
There's a thing on YouTube where Conan sends one of his stagehands out there, and he gets yelled at and insulted, and he comes back like 5 minutes later with Triumph, the insult dog, that whole puppet. It's absolutely hysterical. Girls behind the counter yelling at the dog yelling back at him, calling skeezers and sluts. It's out of control. Funny stuff.
I haven't been out. I kept forgetting about that place. Is that something you don't remember? Anyways, but I definitely want to check that one out. I have a few friends that went down there.
Okay.
Where's this place?
Chicago. It's gonna be more of them. It's gonna be like one for big city, so. There's gotta be one in New York City. I don't know where.
Best pizza place I've ever been to is in Coney Island, Brooklyn. And they throw the plastic in there. I don't care about that, but place. But the pizza's so good. Unfortunately, the other now knows me, so she can't sit down and talk to me instead of giving me the usual rude stuff. I don't give a damn what you want to argue.
Bring a million customers in there.
Yeah, I'm going to Texas. Hey, it's nice to meet you guys.
That's it?
Yeah, I don't know if I introduced myself. I'm one of the corporate trainers for those that came in late. So I usually come out and support these East Coast teams. So I'll get with Matt and whoever other groups you guys are with.
Were you the one that was here a few weeks ago and then got sick on us?
Yes, yes.
Oh, man, I want to go.
I know, man. I was on a roll. We closed here when I came in, and then we closed after.
So when are you going to come back and do me? Come on.
I know. There's a few of you guys that need to come back out. So.
Yeah, I would enjoy that anytime you can get out of here.
I know. I stood Ginger up.
Okay, I didn't finish my.
And I was dying. I mean, I usually don't. I can pull through. Man, I was just dying.
All right.
It was Andrew's fault because we were out in the rain trying to close this deal. So
He came home in like a coma, and
Really?
I didn't see him for a couple days, so.
Yeah.
He gives a lot, so.
no, I like just getting on the big. It's about getting all this and then obviously creating a dialogue, a pitch, whatever you want to use,
Yeah.
and then just really make it simple, present it to the homeowner.
Simple is a good word, but
Yeah, just keep it simple. I mean, this is not rocket science. You know,
Right.
we're the better clients, better support, everything. So just get all that, and then when I come out, it's just about selling, executing, finding those ways to really close those deals. So, but anyways,
all right, nice to meet you.
guys. Take care. Take care. See you
Yeah,
guys.
right.
So how was lunch?
It's good.
What'd you have? Salad?
Salad.
Let me do the steak vegetable rice thing. Good call, I did.
This cafeteria was pretty good, right?
The steak wasn't quite, I'm from Nebraska, so I, kind of like steak. And
Pull off the horns.
this was a little fatty and, grizzly.
Just keep the good stuff for yourself out there.
Do what?
You keep the good stuff for yourself.
Yeah,
out
we
there.
do. We do, actually.
Excuse me.
All right, so how do I know if the people are online or actually here? Anybody who's online, please raise your hand if you're not here. Nobody's there. All right, we're going to continue on. We're gonna talk about the different actually, I told you I was gonna ask you a question. What was the one question I was gonna ask you?
What was our takeaway?
What did you guys take away from this morning?
Size and the scope of the company that we're getting involved with.
The quality of the panel.
Quality of the panel?
Yeah.
That's great shit. Cradle to grave production of the panels.
And even more than that, we didn't really get into this detail, but we do manufacture the silicon, the panel, all the way through to financing. We talked a little bit about the financing, but the financing is that additional element that a lot of companies can't play in. They go to third-party banks. The banks want to go make 18% interest. We don't necessarily need to go make 18% interest. So our cost of capital is a lot lower than what other companies have to offer.
I was gonna say the holistic approach, but when you add the financing to it as well,
Yeah.
that really is the whole thing.
And now with battery backup, I mean, it's another element of the whole product line.
Yeah. We're gonna see so much happen in this industry in 10 years.
One question that came up is insurance, like with Solar City, we put an insurance policy on that house or on that system. Does that happen here?
We do. On a PPA, yes, we hold the insurance. A homeowner does not have to hold the insurance.
Is there
They
an
still-
amount that
they
we
still
can
have
throw
to-
out there?
Is there a lot?
I'd have to look at the contract. I'm guessing, I mean, a couple $1 million. I don't know. I'd have to look at the actual contract.
Can you repeat that?
So the question was,
Because we're used to saying.
$2 million.
$2 million insurance
Liability
policy,
insurance.
but you said that SunEdison holds the insurance.
we hold the insurance and we have an insurance policy against the system itself.
Okay.
And it's more of if the house burns to the ground, SunEdison is now made whole.
Okay.
If it burns to the ground because of the solar system for a freak reason, then our insurance would cover that. So it's
If the
both
solar
of
panels
those.
were to cause any damage to somebody else's property,
Like if the
tornado rips it off, flies off and burns down neighbor's car scenario?
very rare occasion that would even happen. I'm sure we can come up with all these different scenarios.
That's the example that we've
We
used in
use.
the past
Okay.
to explain the insurance. You know, it's no different than home or car insurance. If you drive to somebody else's house, your car insurance would cover your car and their property.
And the same thing would apply. I know we can go into it, you know, let's say a freak snowstorm happens in Florida and the panels now have too much weight on and the roofs collapse. I mean, those are all little scenarios you could have, but the reality is it's not going to happen that often. Most of the time, it's going to go to the insurance company anyway. So it's no different. You get in a car accident, you don't necessarily go to that car insurance company. It's those two insurance companies go talk to each other and go figure out who's going to pay what. Same thing's going to apply in this business. We're going to talk to their homeowner's insurance. They're going to talk to our insurance company, and they're going to figure it out between the two of them. In the end, the customer is going to be made whole. SunEdison is going to be made whole with that insurance. Yes.
You're gonna be made whole, but in terms of communication, is there a dollar amount we can equate to it? Like the other one, say $2 million policy. Is there something like even with insurance for a car, there's a certain limit? So can we like say any value at all in terms of?
Until I have the exact number, I don't know what that answer is going to be.
Throw out a number.
I believe it's 2 million. I believe it's 2 million, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
So but the homeowner's insurance will go up though?
No.
In case it does
No.
not go up?
No. Because they have nothing to do with the solar system. The solar system, we turn around, we do put a lien on the solar system. We file a UCC1, just like you've been doing in the past. But it's on the solar system itself, and it does not encumber the home.
So neat.
I know. What else? What else you guys take away from this morning?
What I like is that we're giving the homeowner something that's always better than advertised. The other guys are delivering something that's always worse than advertised. With the, in terms of,
Yes, and the power.
So we're always over delivering, they're always under delivering, right?
No. Just need that guy. I figured you were thirsty and I wanted to get some water.
Experience in the field.
Having the history, the track record, yeah. Over 5 decades.
North American made.
North American made. Yeah,
None of that cheap Chinese stuff.
that's right. What else?
Global presence?
Global presence. Is there anything you don't like?
Anything we don't like?
Mhm.
I don't like that the panels are higher up the roof.
Okay, fair enough. But again, you know how to handle it based on
Yes.
a redirect of the story?
I do.
Yeah.
What happens if because I have had that with customers seeing with the larger amount in between that birds are nesting in there and there's bird poop and stuff like that. That has come up actually several times. Would there be any way that they nest under there as far as?
The birds could. Birds are going to be birds. The homeowner could put on a screen of some sort, like, I mean, the chicken wire. I know there's companies, so the company, like my sister, she doesn't have the little skirt or anything, and the company that installed it for her, even though it was SunEdison product, that company came back and did the little skirt all around it. I don't know if it was chicken wire or it's something, it looks like chicken wire, but it was, you know, black and it meshed with everything. Yeah. So the homeowner could do that if they want to. It's just that being able to put that within the PPA makes it, I mean, who wants it, who doesn't want it? Whereas we know that here's the basis, here's, you know, the module, the racking, the inverter, and the installation. That's how we determine what that PPA is.
So that's always a discretion of the installer.
Correct. Wouldn't be any different if somebody says, you know what, I really want battery backup. We don't offer it, it's not within the PPA, but a homeowner could turn around and go add battery backup if they really wanted to.
So they could do that right now.
I personally wouldn't do it, but
Mhm.
you know, they could.
Expensive.
It is too expensive. Unless you're completely off grid or want to be off grid or have power when nobody else has power. I mean, I don't know how long you guys will lose power for. You know, when it snows, you're probably out 2 days at most, maybe 3.
Big storm.
Yeah.
You really don't know the Northeast.
But the vast majority are not out 10 days. You might have a little remote area that's out for 10 days.
Do we have anything coming like a backup battery, like what we used to say with Solar City, that within the next 3 years, it's expected that customers are gonna be approached with a backup battery that tests them up?
Everybody's gonna have access to
They're gonna-
Tesla batteries. Tesla's not gonna just do it with Solar City. So you can say the same thing with
Same
Tesla.
thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of putting a timeline because then that's what sets the expectation. Let's say it came out in 2 years. Let's say it came out in 4 years. I don't know what the technology is going to be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And let's say there's something that completely changes and batteries are no longer the answer. Maybe a fuel cell is the answer. Then that's the technology that we would go follow.
But the point is, they're not gonna fall behind.
Right.
That's why we have solar grid, that's why we have the wind power. They could do the same thing, it's just Tesla and Solar City are much better at using Twitter and using their billionaire pseudo famous person, Elon Musk, to move their stock and to make people more
PR is very good.
knowledgeable about it.
You can tell them that we're designing their systems to be able to accept batteries in the future. So you don't have to wait today. When the technology becomes more cost effective, we're already designing your systems to accept it for the future. What else?
The affiliation with the other marquee clients, right?
Ooh, we can do small commercial.
As of right now, you cannot.
Oh.
We do as a company, but your product offering does not have that. You will in the future. Again, time frame wise, I don't know. It could be next month. It could be 10 years. I don't know.
To any size?
Any
Or
size
60 kilowatts max.
on
There's some limitation on commercial.
our commercial projects. It depends on what the financing is going to be for that commercial project, but our definition of commercial could be anywhere from 10 kW to 500 kW. That's considered small commercial. Large commercial, or our DG division, is 500 kW to I think 10 megawatts, and then utility scale is anywhere from I think 5 megawatts up to whatever we want it to be.
What are the sizes on residential systems? What's the smallest and largest?
On the PPA, I mean, you can go build whatever you want to if you're going to go sell cash, but on the PPA, it's from 2 kW to 20 kW.
20.
SunEdison has that giving back aspect of eradication of darkness, which we haven't really had with Solar City.
Right, and we're going to watch that video. I loaded it onto the external hard drive so we can actually watch it.
Did I understand you to say that our silicone is superior, hence the panels are superior?
It is. Just so, and I hear this a lot, it's actually silicon.
Okay.
Silicon is sand. Silicone is a rubbery stuff you put around the car.
Breast implants.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's gonna be any local marketing for name recognition that we're gonna
That's a
see?
good question.
We actually have a marketing fund, so that will be done by your internal people to go promote your division. So, yes. Anything else?
What's the
The
selling
rates.
for SunEdison? Just us? Are there any other like SunEdison salespeople out there that are actually corporate?
We do not sell, so the question was, does SunEdison have their own sales team? We do not have our own sales team that's out in the field. We do have different dealers or dealer levels, or types of dealers, I should say. The different types of dealers are in what we call an integrated dealer. An integrated dealer is typically a smaller dealer that is going to be doing it from cradle to grave. So they'll sell it and they'll go all the way through installation. We have key partners or key accounts. Those are larger versions of an integrated dealer that are typically in multiple markets. So there might be, one of their sales teams is sitting in Boston and another team is sitting in New Jersey. But they also do it from creating the lead, making the sale, installing the system. And then we have sales engines, which are you guys. All you do is sell, and then we turn around and have it installed by authorized installer partner. So that's another level that we have just people that's all they do is install for us. And then we have call centers that are selling it over the phone.
And we have account coordinators that help to move the process along.
Yes, internally. But I mean, those aren't, those are just internal staff. Everything else, as far as selling, selling or installation is what I was referring to earlier.
But as far as the account coordinators, like we used to, they are helping our process to move along?
Yes.
And what about roof types that you can install over?
So roof types, you will be given a chart. And just to give an idea, so the question was, what type of roof types? As of right now, I'm just going to pull up an email and give you what the roof types are for this area. It's going to be similar to what you've been doing in the past. I don't think there's anything that is much different. So as an example.
I'm guessing it's going to be based on the installer too.
Not so much. I mean, we have the installer has to be authorized to install on these different types of roof types.
Right.
So comp shingles, standing seam. The PPA does not allow ground mounts as of right now, but we do allow ground mounts with our product. That's something that we're trying to change within the PPA to allow you guys to sell ground mounts.
But that's not gonna happen for sure.
We do,
It has.
but we have had it happen in our other financing offerings. So it's very likely that it would get rolled into this. So in the Northeast, those are the different types of roof types.
No rolled rubber roofs.
Flat roofs?
No, I have some with a 15-degree roof, but it's rolled target bitumen roof.
Yeah, roll.
That's composite. Isn't that
Yeah, but they've got to be able to slide the flashing underneath.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no way to slide flashing.
So rolled touchdown is not in this area.
And then
Torch that would be a rubber roof.
And then no corrugated metal.
No, we allow corrugated metal.
Corrugated.
Oh, not, sorry, hang on. Standing seam. Corrugated, I don't know. I mean, does anybody mount on it?
Yeah.
Because of the way that.
Yeah. Yeah. Numerous companies
do. Okay.
Can I make a request?
Yes.
I've seen panels on, I don't know the brand, interlock metal roofing system or stone coated metal roofing system. I know it exists, I've seen it. And a lot of these customers, I used to sell before. So that might be an opportunity because somebody's doing it. So I would possibly look at metal roof that's stone coated or interlock.
Well, you've got to realize that since they use Unirac and they train their guys, or they train these installers to do this way that SunEdison knows is the quality, they have to learn a new way and then train them to do that and get it approved. So yeah, that might happen, but if it's not going to be.
Yeah, they might have, but at least to be aware of maybe that racking system, it is possible.
Right.
Because so much of it doesn't use a racking system.
A lot of them are chatting.
He had a barn, it was a flooded, and solar cities, they would do it.
Correct.
And they said it's something that is by the municipality, not the company itself.
I don't know about that municipality, but Solar City will lie so that they don't.
So we're trying to play a video so everybody can see
Based on
it.
my customers, they won't do more than 100% offset because that's state law.
So if I see clear ground mount is available for
Solar city
purchase
policy.
right now,
So,
for purchase.
I don't know if that's.
For purchase,
a
yes.
municipality or if that's the truth, but it just means that they're not willing to do it for whatever reason.
Right. So that's it. Just recently.
I mean, all you gotta do is go find if there's another roof in that
Yeah.
area that has solar on it, on a,
Yeah. Corrugated metal.
corrugated metal roof, and then you know what the true answer is.
So was the answer then on the corrugated roof, yes or no?
No. All right, so this is going to give you a lot of information in a short period of time. Maybe. But
Much more likely with that is to have mix. on a corrugated metal roof.
So this is the video that I was referring to earlier. This is that B2B video for the UK and Europe that we're trying to gain install partners and sales engines in the UK. So this will kind of show you, again, a lot of information in a short period of time. Maybe not. Not using my own computer is quite difficult. You know the volume control is on this thing?
So is the rumor true that Evolve is going to be buying a technology company or something?
Is that
A multimedia technology
Is that
company?
Malcolm Smart,
Yeah.
LLC?
Hey,
Okay.
you can pay me the business.
Let me go back to.
Seems that we're very good at some things, but multimedia presentations is not one of them.
We're sales company.
Malcolm Smart, LLC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's from my company.
All right.
Oh, well.
Forget the video. Sorry, guys.
Help out anytime you want. You can be the technical
No, you're
lead.
gonna make a fool of me in front of everybody.
This is what I show off.
We want you to show off.
Sorry about that. No video. No video for you.
Beyond the volume control, I don't know what to do.
All right, so let's move on. We're going to talk about the financing offerings, and we can go through the details of all the different types of financing that we do offer. I'm going to put everything up there, and we're just going to go through point by point. There are some things you're going to be able to offer and others that you're not going to be able to, but I at least want you to know everything that we do offer as a company that you may or may not be seeing in the marketplace. There's others that could have a similar type of financing, so you may be competing against it within your own
And
marketplace.
that slide's available to us, right? So we have to write
So
that.
this one is not in the normal PowerPoint that is given to you. The PowerPoints that we give you are really designed for you to be able to show that to a homeowner, not to give you the details of any of the training. Now, we do have what's called Brain Shark or SunEdison University that you can be assigned different lessons that would go over stuff like this. There is not one Brain Shark lesson or SunEdison University lesson that goes over all of the financing. It will go explain one financing here and one financing here and one financing there, because there are certain dealers that would only be able to offer one, so we don't confuse them by talking about all the other ones within that SunEdison University segment. So obviously selling cash, and this is provided you guys are allowed to do this. So BJ, if you'd let me know what they can and cannot do. Can they sell cash deals right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so cash is an option. This 12-year loan option is not an option, as far as I know. But out there in the marketplace, it is a combo loan. It's typically offered by Interbank. There are other companies that do it, but Interbank was the first one to start with it. And what it does is it takes it and puts it at a 12-year loan, takes the ITC amount typically, and then put that into a 12-month, no payments, no interest. And so that kind of goes off to the side. They go a year later, they get their taxes back from the government, and they go pay off that loan. If they do not pay off that loan, the interest rate typically goes up to anywhere from 16 to 18%, and it defaults into a 10-year loan. The 12-year loan is still sitting as is, left alone. And that is anywhere from 1.99, 2.99, 3.99, 4.99, and 5.99. The difference in somebody getting one rate over the other is simply by buying it down. So no different than buying points when you go have your mortgage. They do the exact same thing in that loan. The only value in buying down points, whether you're buying a home or doing this, is if you go the full term of the loan. Anybody from the mortgage business? Okay, so you get, I mean, I bought down the rate once, and then I refinanced 3 years later, and I realized I shouldn't have bought it down. It's only good if you go the full term of the loan. Most people do not realize that. They look at that and go, oh, it's 2.99. That's great. How long does the average person stay in their home? 7 years. So realistically, the average consumer is never going to even take a 12-year loan to its full term. But yet they had to pay for the discount points up front to be able to offer a 2.99 interest rate.
And that product's not available to us, right?
It's not, but you may be competing against it. So if you're in the home and all of a sudden somebody goes, oh yeah, but you know, what's your interest rate and what is your cost? You know, how does this all equal out? They've got a 2.99 interest rate. What's your interest rate? Well, has anybody ever taken, it's a very good question. Has anybody ever taken the time to explain the differences between offering a 2.99 and a PPA? It's a loaded no. Most people will never explain both to a homeowner. And I'd love to be able to spend the time with you to explain the differences if you're open to understanding more. Yeah, I'd like to know more. Okay, well, let me show you how this loan, the way it functions. To offer a 2.99, banks don't give away money for free. You have to realize that. And just as when you got your mortgage for your home, you know how they gave the option to buy down the rate? That's exactly what happens there. They just don't give you the option. They just tell you it's a 2.99, but you're having to pay for it. If you go talk to any mortgage company, they're going to tell you the only true value of buying down the rate is if you go the full term of the loan. And based on what I see in the solar business, the average consumer only stays in the home about 7 years. So they never really get the true benefits, and they typically are paying a higher interest rate. Also want to let you know that 12-month no payments, no interest, if for some reason you don't pay that, it's going to default into a, typically anywhere from a 16 to an 18% interest back to day one. So just, if that's the option you want to go, just make sure you pay it off in 12 months, because if you don't pay it off in 12 months, you're going to get hit with a pretty hard penalty. There was actually a study it was online, so it has to be true. That you see all these paycheck advance, and you hear about what their interest rate is and how much they gouge people. They say that 12-month no-no is actually a bigger hit to people than those cash it now bank places, banks, but whatever they're called. Cash advance.
After the 12th month, is there a prepayment penalty?
There's never a penalty for paying it off early. Okay. So they could go till 12 years and 1 day and go pay it off, but they are back charged to day one on the interest. Okay, so it's no longer a 12-month no payments, no interest. It's just a 12-month no payments with a huge chunk of interest that's going to come rolling up on them.
I got that. I'm looking after the prepaid.
Yeah, most loans today, there aren't any penalty for paying it off early. And then we've got a 20-year lease that is only given in Arizona because leases are illegal in Arizona, or sorry, PPAs are illegal in Arizona, so we offer a lease. Okay. Then we've got our 20-year PPA. We'll get into more of the details of it, but what a lot of people want to know is what's the credit score requirement? It's a 650 pass-fail for one person that is on title. So the thing that you need to hear is it's one person on title has to have a 650 or greater credit score. So as you're getting credit approval, do it one person at a time. Don't put both people on this application, because if one person of the two you put on the application has below 650, they're not going to get anything. Okay. But if I do one at a time and that one person fails, I can go to the other one and they could pass, and I get to sell them the system.
So right now, if somebody has a utility bill in the husband's name and the wife is the one that passes credit, that's okay?
That would still be okay, but you have to have, everybody on title is going to have to sign that PPA agreement. Even if I didn't go pull their credit, they do have to sign it. So as long as
it's Solar City. Okay, this is a different city. Whoever's on title will be signing. So both husband and wife on title, they're both going to sign the contract. Whereas with Solar City, whoever was on the bill, that's what we ran the contract as. And if we didn't run the credits on both of them, it was whoever was on the bill. But this is based on not the bill,
but on
based
title.
on the title. So if the husband's on the title and the wife's not, and he doesn't pass, it's a no-go.
Now, they can always do a quick claim deed and get her on title if they want to,
Yes.
and then turn around and have her apply.
There's no co-signer.
No
And
co-signers.
what if the house is in a corporate name? They want the house in
So
the-
things that are, I'll give you, I'll go through a different things of the kind of the things you can and cannot do. Okay, with that.
Okay, so again, basically the person that has to pass the credit is the person that is on the title.
Yes.
That is
But if two people are on the title, all two of them don't have to pass the credit, they just have to both sign.
That is
But one of
correct.
them has to pass.
That's correct. And you do one at a time, because if you put both and one has lower, they're not gonna get anything.
Okay.
Okay. It does not require any money down. They get the free modules, the same thing as what you've been selling at PPA in the past. Free modules, free installation, free monitoring, free maintenance. It's all covered for 20 years. We do also offer a 20-year loan. This is something that I'm guessing that you would not have. And the primary reason is the businesses that are the most successful are the ones that have one product financing wise and they go sell it. Because selling a PPA and selling ownership are two different animals. And if you try to be all things to all people, you cause indecision. Indecision means you don't sell anything. So when you go in selling one thing, you're going to be a lot more successful if you just have that one thing.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when we talk about the PPA, they don't get any maintenance or servicing or anything like that? Like something happens, you come out for free and you fix it, right?
Just
Because we used to saying maintenance, servicing, warranties, permits, we say all of that. basically.
and we do. If they're neglecting the system or
Right.
there's a tree in the south side of the yard and
Full time.
right now it's perfectly fine, but it eventually grows into a full-fledged tree and now it's shading the system, it is their responsibility to go deal with that tree.
Okay, but whatever happens to the system, that's covered under the
That is
warranty.
correct.
You come and fix it for free.
That's right.
Okay.
And under the PPA, are there buyout options during the length of that time?
Yes, there is.
Okay,
Yeah.
Starting when?
Well, it'll be on the next slide.
I have one question.
Jim, that's.
I was just trying to give an overview of all of our financing and then we'll get into the
Jim, that's
details.
what we say. You're on page 6, I'm on page 3.
That's
Can I ask one more question?
Yes,
It says that under the PPA, you've got a performance guarantee?
that is not true.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
We talked about this at the.
I know we did, but.
No, I'm saying at the company meeting, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I should have taken that off.
It's all your fault.
It is my
It's
fault.
all your fault.
It is my fault.
We love you, Jim.
Thank you, man. Love you, man.
Just kidding.
All right. So again, we started off with talking about the brand, the product, the support, and the financing. Is there any questions on those 4 pillars that we stand on? Okay. The eradication of darkness, if I could play, actually, at the break or something, I'll switch computers so you can see that eradication of darkness. You can see the that B2B video that we did that has all the good information in a short period of time. I'll show you that. For the people that are online, I'm sorry, I'm using Cody's computer and it doesn't allow me to do that.
They're actually, they can access those videos if you self-drive it.
Okay.
The eradication of darkness is already there.
Okay, got it. So this is going to talk about the PPA and SunEdison being around for over 5 decades. We've got the financial backing. We've already kind of talked about some of this stuff, so we don't need to necessarily go over it. This one is going to show you the states and the utilities that we're in from those states. So if you see your state and you see your utility, you know where you can go.
And that's not totally correct.
You want to show video? Yeah.
We've already talked about that.
Oh, you do?
Wait.
Nice.
Where do I see the?
Watch.
Jeanette, it's not correct, so don't even worry about it.
Oh, okay, because I don't see National Grid.
I know, I said.
Oh.
So it's on the,
That's
it's
so
on
much
the screen share.
Okay.
And then you
They have
click on
to
which one you
create a
want. So if
product
you have
that
the
we give
video,
Each specific
can you go
utility.
into
So that's what
this
they've been
disc?
doing, that's why they've been asking us where we're knocking on May 1st, May 2nd. So for any utility that they don't want.
Which one is it?
Create for, we have to actually create that PPA for that utility.
Just
Or-
which one do you need? Sorry. Let's do the one you're clicking on right now. This one here? Yep. So this is the B2B one. We couldn't get the audio to work. That's the problem. No. Did you get it to show in here though?
Okay.
It could show, but no audio. It's
And
going
all
over
we
here. That's
work
why.
with is National Grid and NICEAG. So can we not just say,
So should I?
can you make me pay
No.
for National Grid and NISA?
They already have,
So that's done.
yes. That
Okay.
stuff is incorrect.
I got you. So National Grid and NISA areas, definitely we can sell PPA.
To my knowledge, yes.
Yes, you can.
There's the one that I had the other side of the river, Central Hudson or something.
Central Hudson was up there.
It was up there.
And if not, then we'll have to hold off.
So it goes through the computer at all.
We'll, May
Goes
1st, we'll
through.
know for sure. Well,
This one, yeah.